Greetings, Rink Rats, and welcome to this pre-holiday, post-Stan Bowman being promoted Rinkcast. I'm your host this evening, John Jaeckel. Joining me tonight is my trusty sidekick, Jeff Osborn, also known across the interwebs as Gatekeeper.
My name is Jeff.
It's Hefe, man.
There he is. That's him. Also joining us tonight is Rink writer, Sean Fitzgerald. We may have a couple more members of the team joining us a little later on as we dissect today's news. We're going to keep this brief and to the point, not a lot of the usual hijinks or skullduggery, or as some might say, douchebaggery.
I don't think we can get away from that, John.
We'll do our best. Tonight's show, as always, is brought to you by our founding sponsor, the good people at Puck Hockey, the hockey culture apparel brand. I suggest you go to puckhcky.com before the holiday season, in this season of remote shopping, and pick up some gear for your family. Use the Rink discount code. You'll get 10% off all their cool stuff, including custom lines for NHL players, including former Blackhawk Marian Hossa, which is a really cool line. Snoop Dogg and many other bands. So go and check them out. Use the Rink discount code for 10% off, THERINK. Any other housekeeping before we get started, Mr.
No, I just want to say, I said it on my other podcast, but on this one, I ordered a whole bunch of stuff, a bunch of Christmas presents from puckhockey.com, and they sent me some free t-shirts, some free stickers, all kinds of good stuff. Plus they sent me, some little goodies and stuff because, they like us a little bit. Yeah. But on top of it, it's all good stuff, man. It's all really
good stuff. I have I'm not wearing it tonight, but I actually have the Rink baseball hat, the black with the blue brim. I've got this sweatshirt, and my dad got me for my birthday the flannel shirt with the Rink logo on it. So
there you go.
And I Christmas is coming around. I have a feeling my dad will have something else from the the Rink section of Puck Hockey for me this Christmas. So yeah, it's good stuff. I mean,
excellent.
I'm not only a member, I'm the president. Work hard for men.
You're the Cy Sperling of puckhockey.com.
Yep.
So the reason we have gathered together here, dearly beloved, this evening is to discuss the Blackhawks promotion of Stan Bowman, not the firing of Stan Bowman as some had expected or hoped for. I'm going to get this started. The three of us could certainly probably take up an hour on this. But if not, if some others join us, we'll fit them in as well. We do have a hard stop on tonight's festivities at 9:30. I don't know if we have any questions. I don't remember seeing any questions on Twitter. Jeff, did you? But if not, if some others join us, we'll fit them in as well. We do have a hard stop on tonight's festivities at 9:30. Maybe not. So we're going to keep going here. Aaron, why don't you get us started with your take on today's news?
Do you mean Sean? I'm Sean.
I'm sorry, Sean.
No, don't worry about it. Aaron and I have our spitting images of each other.
You guys do look alike. That's why I confused you. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I was baffled by the news, to be honest with you. I had, after seeing the news and talking about it in our Rink chat there, I told my wife that Stan Bowman got a promotion, and her response was, "What?" Like, I've been trying to break down the move in my head for a while since it happened, and the only reason it makes sense to me and why they did it is to save money. If you're going to bring in, whether it's a new GM or a new president, you're going to have to pay them more money than you would be to promote Stan Bowman and give him another title. He probably makes a little bit more money. He gets a little bit more of a title increase. And that's the only thing I can see for the justification for that move, is saving money internally. In terms of, strategically for a hockey perspective, this move makes no sense. The whole current state of the Blackhawks organization, the NHL team, the AHL team, even down to the ECHL team, is all on Stan Bowman. And currently it doesn't look good. There's no like the ECHL, like you said, there's no prospects in it at all. Like none. They're signing all former AHL guys to play on the fuel. So there's no prospects down there. The salary cap has been mismanaged to the point where they're really not going to do anything of record until Duncan Keith, Brent Seabrook, Patrick Kane, and Jonathan Taves contracts are all off the books. So I don't understand it at all from a purely hockey sense.
Sorry about that. I'll jump in. I was having audio issues over here, so I couldn't hear you.
Jeff, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm a little perplexed, but I'm not necessarily surprised. I didn't think they would actually go through with, promoting him and kind of going all in on Bowman like they are. But I will say this, and I thought about this today, and it may or may not come to fruition, but I was like, there's got to be some kind of like blessing in this. And, say, the season goes probably as we expect it to go, where they're going to be bad. They're not going to make the playoffs, that whole thing. And they could be one of the worst teams in the entire NHL. Let's say maybe they leave Bowman in this president of hockey ops position and bring in another GM next year. So that's their way of not firing Bowman. He's already in a position. They're just taking some stuff to get, they could frame it however they want to frame it. They could frame it as, well, we're just giving him more responsibilities than the president of hockey ops. And it's really a full promotion, and there was too much to do between being a GM. And they could frame it any way they want to make it as they're not firing him as a GM, but they keep him on the staff and don't upset Scotty and all that other nonsense that goes along with it. So that's the only thing I could think of that maybe, may happen down the road, is that they just make him, like we had talked about this, that maybe they were going to make him the president of hockey ops, and they did. And now maybe they're going to bring in another GM at some point. They have to, because he's not really great at his job. Like Sean was saying, he doesn't do, like, his drafting was mediocre at best. His contract's not that good. His salary cap management, not good at all. I mean, they're in a terrible spot now because of it. So, he's not really good as a GM, but to fire somebody without firing them, that would be the way to do it. That's kind of my hopes and dreams.
It's the Kenny Williams treatment before. Yeah. It's the Kenny Williams treatment. So Kenny Williams was the general manager of the White Sox for umpteen years. They didn't really do too much. They won the one World Series, which bought him a contract for life with Jerry Reinsdorf. And ultimately, to turn over control of the team to, I'm blanking on their GM's name right now. He's probably the best one in the city of Chicago right now, and I'm blanking on his name. They promoted Kenny Williams to the vice president of baseball operations. So they did exactly what Gabe said they were to Stan. They promoted him out of a day-to-day role, called it a promotion, and took away responsibilities of creating all the day-to-day moves. So that's what I hopefully Gates right. He's going to get Kenny Williams treatment in that regard.
Sean, we're going to ask you to kind of hold off for a sec. We're getting an echo. Introducing Aaron Goldschmidt, sorry.
Goldstein. He's our lawyer, Goldstein.
It's been so long since we've done one of these. I'm rusty. Aaron Goldschmidt, our Rink, Colorado impresario, and I'm telling you, if you could see him and Sean Fitzgerald side by side, you'd understand how I would confuse the two of them. They're literally twin sons of a different mother,
and they're both offended right now.
Guys, I wanted to come on this for one reason. Based on the news of today, just want to make this official. You guys ready?
Yes, we're ready.
He took the hat off. He took it off, and he put the Colorado hat on.
It's done. I'm over. I'm so happy I'm not supporting that franchise with my hard-earned money. Good luck, guys.
Hey, that's what I did with the Kraken. Go listen to the Kraken Hostile Rinkcast.
I'm on the fence. So, Aaron, what's your take on this?
My take is they went in the wrong direction. People were saying Bowman needed less power. They need to get out, and they give him more power. He's the president of operations for hockey operations, and he's the GM. This is a train wreck. This is a nightmare. I don't know what to tell Hawks fans. They have to be devastated. More of the same. Where are you going to be in 5 years from now? Probably in the same place.
Well, it's interesting. I was commenting on the Rink chat that you're reading the comments and the threads across the internet, across Twitter. You can see that a lot of the fan base has turned against Stan Bowman at this point. And it's not. I'm not surprised this happened at all because when they promoted everybody in hockey ops a few months ago, it kind of begged the question: if they were going to replace Bowman, why would you have everybody just promoted in hockey ops? And so I'm not surprised by this. I'm disappointed because if you're really rebuilding, then you got to get rid of the architect of the mediocrity of the last 5 years. And they're not really rebuilding. They're just cutting costs. And if you're looking for how they cut costs with this, if they looked at the cost of adding a team president from the outside, they probably looked at that and said, that's too expensive. We'll just keep Stan and promote him, give him a marginal raise or whatever it is. And it's just the same old thing with this team where they're shoveling up mediocrity and telling everybody it's great. And I would not expect any different results with this team for at least 2 or 3 seasons. I mean, you may see marginal improvements in some of the young players, but the old players are going to keep getting older. And, it's just really disappointing. And I think that I was actually kind of surprised at the number of fans on Twitter who responded to this negatively. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing or inaccurate. I think they should. It's just that, a couple of years ago, you couldn't say anything about Bowman without triggering, 2/3 of the fan base. And that's really changed. I mean, I think people have just had it. I think the rebuild rollout of the summer, which was just so poorly handled. I think people finally realized that these people are not being truthful. They're just BSing the fan base. And, what was once the preeminent sports franchise in Chicago, pro sports franchise in Chicago, is now really falling to the bottom of the pile really quickly. It's stunning. Anyway, that's the beginning of my rant.
The beginning. When's the end?
Oh, it's coming. Don't you worry, pal.
Well, yeah. I mean, everything you said is the way I feel too, as well. You guys still getting the echo, or you got?
No, echo's gone.
Okay, sounds good. Sorry. I'm watching the chat on top of this, so thanks, Kevin Thomas, for saying for telling us where the echo was coming from. But anyway, it's just they're kicking the can down the road for this season. They know they know it's going to be a messed up season. They know it's going to be, they're probably not going to make the playoffs, which they shouldn't anyway. They've already told the fans they're going to stink and they're going to rebuild, and so they've put everything in place to kick the can down the road. And when they've got a little bit more time, because of course you're not gonna fire Bowman like right as the season starts, or so it was bad timing, COVID stuff and all that other stuff, and it just lucky for Bowman, COVID happened is kind of what it is, because it probably saved them, dumping him. They probably just said we don't know what's going to go on. Who's going to build a team? We don't, or who's going to keep this team running? Just walking in the door, and the season wasn't over. It was kind of half over. They didn't know if there was going to be a Stanley Cup, and they didn't know if they were going to be invited, and all that stuff combined. I think that that gave them an excuse to kick it down the road a little bit. It saved Stan Bowman's butt a little bit. And this could very well be what I was hoping for, that just, after this season's over with, they just say, all right, Stan, stay there. We're bringing in a guy who's going to develop players, and that's it.
It feels different though this time. For some reason, I read that news and I was like, okay. I feel like we've been so much more fired up with uncertainty and like not having a direction. And now we get this answer from the team that's maybe we're not surprised by because of their direction. And it just feels like, you've been punched so many times in the gut, you can't feel it anymore. And I don't know. We've all watched this team for a long time and it's been hard watching them fall, but at the same time, this is a leadership issue. I don't think that they're the only ones dealing with that. I think the Cubs are dealing with it right now too. I think the Bears are really suffering with leadership issues, and it's hard to shuffle the deck. People don't have the cojones to shuffle leadership front offices because it's not easy to find the right people. It costs a lot of money. And this seems like, people are struggling. Professional sports are going to struggle. Let's keep the same. Let's status quo here. And, maybe when things pick up again, we can figure things out. But seems like a money-driven issue. But yeah, it is what it is. The team's going to be what they are for, the coming years. But yeah, it just seems very like a numb feeling for a lot of fans. For me, I mean, I love the team. I've been covering the Avs for the last couple of years and it's fun, but yeah, just a little numb right now. I don't know about you guys.
It's funny. I heard a lot of people drawing parallels today on Twitter between the White Sox and the Blackhawks and Jerry Reinsdorf and the Wirtzes. But, I don't know, the Hawks have the 3 championships, from 2010 through 2015, and nobody's just discounting that. But, the White Sox are a team really on the rise. I mean, sure, their new managers,
DUI waiting to happen. Yeah.
A tippling senior citizen, but
not DUI waiting to happen. DUI
already happened.
Another DUI waiting to happen.
Yeah, right. But aside from that, there really are a team on the rise, and the Blackhawks are not. And even today, their press releases and Danny Witz, Dollar Danny, his new nickname, Dollar Danny, talking about the rebuild and how Stan's the guy to run the rebuild. This isn't a rebuild. Stop lying. Stop spinning things to be something that they're not. It's not a rebuild. And, if it was a rebuild, they would have traded Crawford and Leonard at the last trade deadline. If it was a rebuild, they might have taken some offers on Duncan Keith, or they might this year take some offers on some of these, long-term players with the bigger contracts. They're not rebuilding. What I don't understand is how at what point do they think this is going to change? Because what I see happening, honestly, is I think you're going to start seeing some empty seats at games at some point, probably maybe even this year. And that's going to keep going.
You're going to see a lot of empty seats this season.
Yeah, and there's because nobody can resell their tickets, and that's been falling off for 2 years.
Nobody's going to be allowed in the arena.
Oh, you're right. Yes,
but but they're thinking that next fall they're going to be at least close to majority of the arenas being able to be full. Next season, yeah,
right,
for sure.
Right. Yes, logistics. Sorry about that.
And John, I think you were saying earlier about the Stan Bowman angst, and I kind of tied to what Aaron said. So in Chicago now, the Bulls decided to start over. After all those years, I believe Gates said it, that the Bulls' loyalty to Garpax is similar to the Blackhawks' loyalty to Stan Bowman. It's gone way past its shelf life.
I can't actually take credit for that. Billy Terrible Terrell. My friend who worked, was like a billet for the Chicago Steel. He brought that up. He texted me that today. So I want to give him credit for it.
Good credit where it's credit is due. And the Bulls finally decided to start over. and they hired 2 people and a new coach that look like they're going to go in the right direction. Like Aaron said, the Cubs have, I mean, Jed Hoyer's an accomplished general manager, but now he doesn't have Theo Epstein above him calling the shots, and they're looking to be going into a rebuild. I was reading before coming on that the likelihood of Yu Darvish being traded is bigger than Chris Bryant. So they're going into a rebuild. The only team, and the Bears, I read a stat, my friend sent me this the other day. The Bears are 195 and 212 since 1996, wins and losses. That's the definition of mediocre or below average. So before the White Sox before the Blackhawks were this beacon of like, okay, we've got a winning sports franchise, and now we're just plodding along to mediocrity. And it almost feels like we're going back into the early 2000s, where the building's going to be the building's going to be empty, the team's going to be bad, and in the Chicago landscape, the whole thing is going to be irrelevant. You're going to be like when I was in high school, I walked up with my Marist ID and got a ticket for $11 and sat in the 100 level because nobody was in the building.
Oh, Marist.
Yes. But yeah, that's why I think we're trending, and it's definitely
totally agree.
To start over.
I totally agree.
Yeah, there's John. The echo was on John that time.
That is remedied. Aaron, what do you think?
You talk it into nothing.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me okay?
Now
I don't know. I just feel like Kirby Doc was a gift, right? Really nice player. I'm really looking forward to seeing him in the World Juniors. I think you just have to look at the positives as Hawks fans. You got Doc.
Kirby Doc was an enormous gift.
Gift.
Somehow they didn't screw it up.
Okay, let me say this with some confidence. Ian Mitchell is going to be a good player.
Oh, here we go. Ian Mitchell time. Yes, go.
I'm not telling you this guy's going to
Denver Pioneers.
I'm not telling you that this guy is going to be the future captain. I'm not doing a Mario Tarabasi take about Ryan Hartman.
Oh, he's listening to this right now.
I'm not telling you that he's going to be a top line pairing. I'm not telling you whatever. I'm telling you this guy wants to be a Hawk. He's a great player, great character, and Hawks fans should look forward to him.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope that, and I know this is in their plans, I really hope they don't ruin his career by throwing him to the Wolves like they did Adam Boquist. And sure, Adam Boquist had some highlight reel goals, but at the end of the day, he shouldn't be paid to do that. We don't need more Eric Gustafsons.
He shouldn't have been drafted.
Ian Mitchell's going to be a top pair defenseman. They're going to throw him directly into the NHL with just a little bit of warm up and training, but no training camp games. They're going to throw him right into game 1 regular season, first pairing defenseman with second team. That's Ian Mitchell. That's
our new team president has told us that's going to happen. And,
I know that's the scary part.
This is the same guy who told us that Dylan Sikura was going to be the team's big trade deadline acquisition.
I keep bringing that one up
in
too.
2018.
He also traded 2 second-round picks for Gates guy David Rundblad at the deadline.
Right, and lost 2 Brandon Saad trades. But we digress.
Thank you very much.
Speaking of Mitchell, Aaron, I agree with you. I mean, I listen. I don't put a ton of stock into YouTube videos of college players, as you know.
The YouTube.
But I everything I read, everything I've heard about Ian Mitchell suggests that he has the work ethic and the desire and the talent to be a good NHL player. The question is how good and how soon. And I, like you, hope that they don't, damage his psyche and his confidence irreparably by throwing him into a bad or no-win situation. Because I got to be honest with you, I mean, Boquist, I think he's still going to be a good player. But just watching some of his body language after getting completely toasted in the playoffs on a couple of occasions, that was a little, it's like, you could tell he wants to be better, but you can also see that the kid was really struggling. And, somebody else said, Gate, I think it was you said it yesterday, how, you can sit here and talk about a college player coming into the NHL on defense, which is the toughest position to play in the NHL, at least to start. And you can talk about this kid coming in and excelling, as Bowman loves to do, because Bowman loves to overhype guys that he thinks his brand is attached to, the Stan Bowman brand. He loves to overhype them. And you can talk about it, but this kid's going to have to go out and play against Tarasenko and against Blake Wheeler and, any number of.
Yeah, they
Maybe
got
not next
Tampa in their
season.
division. So you got Stamkos, Kucherov, Point,
Yeah.
all those
Yeah.
pillars on that.
Right. And we're going to find out if they really do keep him in the NHL and give him top 4 minutes, which they're kind of talking like they're going to do. He's going to be put to the test. And if he's got weaknesses, they're going to be exposed. And that's where, we'll see how he responds to it, and we'll see how the team responds. Just does Bowman keep doubling down on his bad bet, or, do they send him to Rockford for some conditioning at some point, and how might that affect him? So again, but the thing that's made all this possible is Stan Bowman overhyping a prospect. Again. And this is our new team president.
This is even worse. He's hyping up Ian Mitchell worse than he hyped up Dylan Sakura.
Absolutely.
And to say that you thought he was ready last year. Well, Stan, forgive me if I don't really believe in your talent evaluation, because you told us Dylan Sakura was, again, we bring it up all the time, the trade deadline acquisition that was going to come in that year.
Still waiting.
Chad Chris was the 2nd round pick too, and you don't see him getting hyped.
Yeah.
No, we're still waiting on Sakura, by the way. We're still waiting.
I think we all need to recognize that, you're a highly touted prospect like Adam Boquist. You dominate in Pee-wees. You dominate in juniors. You get to the A and you think you're hot shit, and you get some points there. But you get to the NHL and everybody knows that you think you're hot shit, and they want to let you know that you're not.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Well, and everyone is big. Everyone is fast. Like
Everybody was that guy in Pee-wee.
Exactly.
In the NHL, but now they're all, and there's guys that are even better than that in the NHL.
It's just best of the best, tape to tape.
Yeah.
If you make one mistake, the puck's in the back of the net.
And especially with this goal, let's not forget, how is the goaltending tandem going to affect the psyche of the young defenseman?
Oh, it's it's going to be wild.
Yeah. You're going to have guys back there, inexperienced goalies behind
inexperienced defensemen.
Yeah, like Ian Mitchell, who like Aaron said, I'm with you. Like, I think he could be a really good NHL player. Might be a middle pair defenseman. That doesn't mean he's not going to have a really good career in the NHL.
Right.
But you're going out there and he's going from college right immediately to the NHL with nothing in between. Nothing. Not even training camp games.
Right.
Nothing. You're going to bring him in here. You're going to train him for 15 days or whatever camp's going to supposedly open. He gets 15 days of skate with these guys, which he's done for the past 2-3 years in prospect camp and stuff and training camp a couple times. And you're just going to throw him first, like the shutdown defenseman. This is what you did to Adam Boquist last year. And he got run over quite a few times.
Right.
He held it towards the end. He started holding his own a little bit better, but it took him a while. He was getting turnstile on defense left and right.
Yeah.
And this is very likely what you're going to see out of like an Ian Mitchell.
Yeah.
Not going to say, I don't think any of us are predicting that he's not going to figure it out.
Right. No. And we're all big fans of Kirby Dach and his potential. I don't think any of us is writing Boquist off at this point. And we're certainly not being negative about Ian Mitchell beyond saying I think everybody's got to have realistic expectations.
Yeah. We're saying be reasonable, be pragmatic. That's all we ask.
Yeah.
Don't tell us he's going to be the rookie of the year and win the Calder, and he's going to be the first pairing defenseman with Duncan Keith for the entire season, which means he's going to probably have the second most ice time on the entire team.
Yeah. And the other thing I think that people need to remember is, the Keiths and the Taveses, especially, Corey Crawford is gone. Seabrook is pretty much done. the only remaining quote unquote core player from the Stanley Cup team, so you could argue is still is in his prime, is Patrick Kane. But meanwhile, while we're waiting for these players to develop, which is perfectly normal and understandable, having a development curve for good, highly drafted players. But while we're waiting for that to happen, those players are going to keep getting older. And it's, here's the thing. If the Blackhawks go out and they're, a horrible record and no, not even a whiff of the playoffs, they'll just say, oh, we're rebuilding, right? Even though they're not really rebuilding. And if they get like sort of significance to the playoffs, they'll start up the old anything can happen bullshit. Pardon my French. And this is really starting to remind me, Sean, you said it, of 20 years ago, when the Blackhawks could not succeed in spite of themselves, and there was never really a game plan until Bob Pulford would come in and take over either as GM or as head coach.
How many times did that happen?
Oh gosh, I mean, it was like every 2 years
it happened.
Yeah.
He would come back as a GM or coach.
Yeah.
He never left the organization. He was always in perpetuity. He was a GM or a coach.
Yeah, and I just feel like we're the franchise is going back to those days really, really quickly with the way that they've handled things over the last couple of years. The Saad trade, as we know, which basically was the precipitating event of the creation of the Rink Seattle. I mean, but everything and the whole rebuild fiasco and the rollout, which was just a complete sham and a joke. I mean, we're trying to be positive where we can be positive, but overall, if you look at the arc of the franchise, there's not a lot to be encouraged about right now. There really isn't.
I got to drop off in a couple minutes, but I want to bring up one last thing.
Yep.
Just the concept of minute eaters, defensemen that eat minutes. Reliability is what I'm talking about. You look at the Hawks, and Duncan Keith is a freak, right? But he can't eat 30 minutes a game moving forward. It's just not sustainable. You look at the rest of the lineup, Connor Murphy, you're like holding your breath every time he hits the ice. Same. I mean, DeHaan is Mr. Injury prone. You don't know what he's got.
That is future Seattle Kraken Connor Murphy. Thank you very much.
That's a
Sealer's the answer.
Yeah, Sealer, forget about it. You can't fight everybody and keep pucks out of the net. And then Seabrook is, skating in sludge. And then that's it. That's all you got. You have Adam Boquist, who's definitely not a minute eater. So who's left? I mean, I think Ian Mitchell could be one of those guys for you, but look, we're not talking about a Johnny Oduya here. We're not talking about Jalmerson.
Well,
we're not even talking about some of the
played in the NHL. It's going to take time for that. You don't just step into the NHL and all of a sudden you're a minute eater. Like
we're not even talking about a guy like Adam Roosevelt. We would love, or not Adam, Michael Roosevelt. We would love to have that guy on our team. He played first line.
Hey, can we get Adam Roosevelt too?
Yeah, him too. And all I'm saying is that
what about Zadorov?
If you could,
what about Aaron Goldstein?
You can tell us all about Zadorov.
What about Aaron Goldstein?
Aaron Goldstein, and
I think I saw that at the Blackhawks store on the discount rack. Goldstein. Clearance, maybe.
Sheldon I'm sorry. Puts on the uniform, coaches and plays.
All right, boys. Godspeed.
Thanks, Aaron.
Right, take care, brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Goldschmidt.
Goldstein.
Goldstein.
My
brother from another mother.
I'll never live that. I've had a long day. I've had a long life.
Yeah, we've all had a long day. When the Blackhawks just in the middle, like a couple days or a week before Christmas, decide to drop this knowledge nugget onto us about this stuff going on. I don't know.
I'll remind you guys, and I've brought this up before, but I think it bears repeating. I was thinking about this tonight when I was talking to a guy, and I can't name who he is, who has his name on a Stanley Cup in a personnel capacity. And, he knew that I was a Blackhawks fan. And he looked at me, this was 3 years ago. And he said, the Blackhawks, they need a rebuild and they need new management to do it. And that's the other thing. It's like, I don't really think Stan Bowman is very widely respected throughout the league. And yet the Wirtz family decided to make him their team president. I mean, if there's anybody out there who really thinks that this was a smart move for the team or a totally logical move, come on. You don't think that there are better, more capable, more creative, talent people, personnel people out there in hockey than Stan Bowman? With Stan Bowman's track record, you don't think so? I mean,
well, according to Stan Bowman's track record, starts with the 3 cups, and he had so much to do with all of them, every single one of them. That's where it all starts.
Yeah, I did see one person on the Twitters today throwing that one up, and I even thought about responding. I thought, no, I can only say this so many times, but
Stan Bowman gets 3 Stanley Cups. He gets that credit. But what did Joe Quenneville get? He got no credit.
He got the door.
Like, get out of here.
Well, and again, Stan Bowman's 3 cups. I mean, none of those cups happened without Jonathan Toews, Patrick Kane, Marian Hossa, Brent Seabrook, Duncan Keith, Patrick Sharp, Nicholas Hjalmarsson, Corey Crawford, each of whom and all of whom were acquired by other GMs than Stan Bowman. So
and the coaching staff, Joel Quenneville, who wasn't hired by Stan Bowman. I'm pretty sure Dale Talon hired him.
Well, actually, Scotty Bowman had a lot to do with bringing Quenneville in. So, and he also had a lot to do with bringing Hossa in too. But,
Stan moved around some deck chairs on those teams. That's really what he did.
I just love when the people come to defend Stan about all that stuff. It just drives me freaking batty.
I know.
Literally, he literally put like new tires, gave an oil change to a Ferrari, and let it drive. That's literally when he tried to make us tougher. He added all those guys, the Sammy Lepistos of the world, the late I can't think of his name.
Steve Montador.
Montador. They added all these tough guys, and they were terrible.
Yeah.
And then they went away from that again.
Yeah.
Well, and then you get all the truthers too that are like, well, Dale Talon has done so good since he left. And like, no one is sitting here saying they should not have, let Talon go, and they should not have hired Stan Bowman. For that period in time, he did pretty well. He kept everything together. It all worked out in the end. No one says that Dale Talon should have continued, but we're also saying that Stan Bowman's time is up. And just because he won 3 cups a decade or half a decade ago, or half a dozen years ago, and now he hasn't done anything since, doesn't mean you just keep him around. You just keep kicking the can down the road. You're wasting your franchise's money by just having a guy hanging around as a lame duck that isn't really getting anything done and making this team any better. It's only gotten worse every single year.
Yeah, I just think he has too much negative juju. I think, one of his worst habits as a GM is the fact that he's always trying to kind of double down on his bad moves and I think,
bring back his beloved players.
Yeah, bring back the bring back move, the bring back movement. But it just seems like he is so much of his thinking and so much of his motivation is improving the things that he's done in the past are right. And again, like the way he'll stick with guys like Rundblad, and I just feel like if you were really rebuilding as a franchise, why would you not go out and get a fresh perspective with no attachment to the sacred cows in this organization, which are all, running uphill now? It's just mind boggling. And again, what I come back to is the management of the Blackhawks has at least when McDonough was being dishonest, he did so with a little bit of flair. And also the winning made that a lot easier to swallow. Now they're losing, and they can't get out of their own way as far as messaging and as far as how they're serving things up from a PR standpoint. And it just feels like it's spiraling. It's like the rebuild thing was a disaster, the rebuild rollout, as I call it. And I think just the reaction on Twitter today to the news about Bowman, it was like, this is worse. I mean, people were expecting him to get fired. I mean, I think we all knew that this was probably going to happen, but even so, I mean, it's just like, it is really like a cold slap in the face when you realize that they've rewarded this guy. It's stunning.
Yeah, it- I have to go with my I have to definitely go with my conspiracy theory on this one is that they
Awesome.
don't want to upset Scotty and they don't want to upset Stanny. And this is their way of firing him without firing him, but keeping him in the organization, keeping everyone happy. That's the only way it makes any sense at all. Otherwise, this is just going to be, until they finally decide to fire Stan Bowman from both positions. This team's just going to wallow in mediocrity for a while because they're not bad enough to get good draft picks. They're not good enough to be, successful in the playoffs. They're just going to be that juicy middle, and that's what they're going to be.
Yeah, and it would be like this team to, you're right, Gate. I mean, I could definitely see that happening where they bring in or groom the next GM, but I don't trust their judgment about picking that person. I really don't,
Hell, McIsaac.
Oh, God help us. And somebody was suggesting that on Twitter today too.
I saw that
he's the guy who should have had the job. And I'm like, no, you don't want that. I mean,
he was a hired gun that was there to chip for McDonough. So
it's kind of sad that both the Blackhawks and the Cubs have squandered all the goodwill they built up with winning those championships.
It's amazing.
In less than 5 years. The Blackhawks, like they've literally, like you guys said a couple of years ago, even saying Stan Bowman didn't deserve all the credit for the championships was blasphemy. Now we're on pitch. We got pitchforks out waiting at the gate.
I know it's stunning. Here's the thing too. And a lot of people say, well, it's because the fans are never happy. And it's what you've done for me lately. I disagree. I think this is a team that could roll out of bed and make the fans happy every day. And the interesting thing about this team, and I've said this for a few years now, is they really handled winning well, but they did not handle losing well. And everything they have done has been bad. The optics have been bad. And it's like, you know what? I mean, and I've talked about this, and I remember the last time I got into this on Twitter with some people. I mean, I just said they should do what the Rangers did and come out and say, look, we got to rebuild this thing, and it's going to suck for a couple of years. But stick with us.
Say it, but they're not doing it.
Right.
Who, the Rangers?
No, the Blackhawks. They said they were going to do it, but they're not doing it.
They're acquiring 27-year-old RFAs for Brandon Saad.
But the way that the Rangers said it, you knew they meant what they were saying, and they did it, and they've started doing it. And but the truth of the matter is I believe that Danny Witz, that the apples in the Witz family don't fall very far from the tree. And Danny Witz is looking at the balance sheet, and he's looking at the short-term cost of a rebuild. And it goes back to what Bill Wirtz said 30 years ago. Stanley Cups, those things cost too much. Rebuilds, those things cost too much. So we're just going to keep riding this thing and trying to sell tickets as best we can, and keep bullshitting the fans and tell them about our rebuild while our best players get over 35. And, I don't know. I'm hoping to be somewhat pleasantly surprised by his huge influx of talent that will be necessary to become a contender again. I just don't know where, beyond Kirby Dach, I don't really know where I can count on it coming from.
Yeah, well,
like you said, John,
Sean picked that up too. They don't have any offensive prospects in the system.
No. Oh, wait, they have Michael Tepley. Oh,
they're hyping up Brandon Hagel, who was just a UFA, and maybe maybe a fourth line player.
As Mario said before, he's a 4A player.
Yeah,
he's too good for the minors, but he's not good enough to be anything but a bottom tier guy in the pros.
Yeah,
but like John said, rebuilding is hard.
It is.
They should have, if you really want to do it right, you have to look to it. You look to a different sports franchise. You look to it's a different sport, but you trade guys a year early before a year too late. You start rebuilding before you get to this point, and they didn't do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sean Goldstein. Right there, baby. No, dude, that's it. That is just it. I mean, I hate to say it. They probably will get around to trading Duncan Keith when it's like the tread has fallen off the tire.
Yep.
And they just can get something back, or they never will. And I don't want to trade Duncan Keith. I love Duncan Keith as a player. I'd love to see him retire a Blackhawk, but at the bottom
We
line
all
is
do, for
Yeah.
sure.
if you're gonna rebuild though, Duncan Keith and Duncan Keith's contract are the kind of thing you need to trade when you can get some value in
Right.
terms of futures. They go out and they talk about rebuilding, and they get a 26-year-old Russian defenseman who's always underperformed, or they get some ECHL guy from LA. They're not serious. They're not serious. This is, it's a joke.
Yeah.
No, this rebuilding, their definition of rebuilding is sit around and buy tickets and wait for us to figure out what the fuck we want to do in 2 or 3 years.
Bingo.
It's the truth. I mean, the Cubs did the last major rebuild in Chicago because the White Sox never had fans. So like them rebuilding didn't affect.
Hey.
No.
Hey.
I shouldn't say that. The White Sox didn't have fans that showed up, so it didn't affect their gate sales. The Cubs had fans show up, and then when their rebuild happened from 2012 to 2015, you saw the amount of people going to games getting less and less and less. Like if it would have went on for another 2, you would have seen their revenue stream starting to drop. It's like you said, John. It's all about money.
Yeah,
all
it
it
totally
is.
is. It totally is. And
It's what despite the illusion that fans have about professional sports, it's all about making money.
yeah,
It's
that way in college sports too, frankly.
For sure.
As a diehard fan of the Ohio State Buckeyes football team, I can tell you that's true. And that's true in college as well. And but the other thing is fans forget, and this is why the Blackhawks keep spinning these lines of bullshit, is that fans have the power to affect this situation, which is stop buying tickets, stop going to games, and they will.
Stop buying merchandise.
Right, stop buying merchandise. I mean, and they will. I mean, but I would be more proactive about it. Don't wait until you're completely fed up and you decide to start spending your money on Bulls tickets or Northwestern tickets or something like that. Do it now. Do it proactively. I mean, it just human beings are funny. They just won't let go of things. I mean, so many Hawk fans they think it's still 2016. It's not. We've had 4 years to prove it's not.
Same with the Cubs. 2016 was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, and they're still living it now. They're still hanging on to it.
I think they're going to do what the Blackhawks don't want to do. I think they're gonna unload. They're gonna unload somebody big. I mean, they've already unloaded Kyle Schwarber for nothing, but I think they're gonna unload Yu Darvish and try to get as much value as you can while you still can get it. Seriously, all kidding aside,
ladies and gentlemen, Sean Goldstein is bringing us the Cubs beat.
It's relative to what like John said about Duncan Keith. Like they should trade him when he has value, and you have to. He's a depreciating asset right now.
Definitely. So's Taves.
Right.
But
Taves, you're not going to get. Well, Taves has the no movement clause, and you're not going to get what you think you want.
So
also,
Keith,
you have to trade him to a team that has enough cap space to absorb that hit. So he's probably more difficult to move.
I think and people make that argument, and I get that it wouldn't be easy per se.
You'd have to sweeten the deal. You'd have to swallow some salary, or you'd have to take back a contract that was equally as bad, but for less term.
Exactly. Or less money.
You're not going to get equal value for any of them probably at this point.
No.
I think it depends. And I think it depends on what, if it's a team, for example, that could use a defenseman like Keith, that they think that would put them over the top in terms of, contending for a Stanley Cup, or a center like Taves or something like that. I'm not saying it will happen, but I also wouldn't rule it out. I mean, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat in a trade. And, for those guys, I think, especially after this season, the thought of contending for a cup again before the end of their careers, it might appeal to them. And, but you'll never know.
You got to get really bad, really fast. Really fast. And if you have Kane, Taves, and Keith, it slows that process down.
Right. They
just got really bad, a little bit slower.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now they're at the really bad part with Taves, Kane, and Keith.
Right. They're still not like the Rangers bad when the Rangers sold everything and then traded.
This year could be that.
And I don't know what the decision process was on Robin Leonard, and I don't know what the decision process was on Corey Crawford. It's quite possible that John McDonough was meddling in the situation, and Stan Bowman's instincts were right. It's possible. I mean, I doubt that John McDonough was the guy pushing to sign Robin Leonard in July of 2019. I gotta believe that was people more in hockey ops who were pushing for that. But who was it on the team who didn't want to sign Leonard to a long-term deal? Somebody did, and maybe that was McDonough. But again, I mean, how much? And that's the thing I kind of wonder. I just don't think it could have been that much on McDonough that Bowman doesn't bear some responsibility for this stuff. Because again, if you're rebuilding, why wouldn't you have dealt Crawford at the deadline too? It's the whole thing is just it's wackadoodle.
What did firing John McDonough actually get you? Now that you look at that, Stan Bowman got promoted. What did firing John McDonough actually gain them? Nothing.
One less
It
salary.
gave them an excuse, a goat.
One less salary, and probably yes, an excuse.
Well, we got rid of John. He was the problem.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Stan, but when you figure out Stan 2 years down the road, when you figure out Stan was the problem too, then it's going to be, Stan's out the door and, whatever. They're just making excuses.
Yeah, well, and then going back to what we were talking about, if Bowman keeps running his mouth about prospects, with no pro experience, not even AHL experience coming in and doing this and doing that, he's going to have nowhere to hide now. He's going to own this stuff. I mean, we're not going to let him forget some of the other stuff he owns too, but he's not going to be able to hide. And, you guys may be right. And I could definitely see the Hawks doing that is, finding their next little Bobo to bring along as a GM. And, but the question becomes, okay, fine. If Bowman's going to hire a GM to work for him, or they're going to groom a GM to work for Bowman, why is he the team president? Why? What's his qualification? I mean, he went to Notre Dame. He helped Dale Talon mismanage the salary cap. I mean, the whole thing, I don't know.
Why?
I don't know.
And why are you letting the guy who can't evaluate talent pick the guy who's going to evaluate your talent?
Yeah.
It's
I
just,
don't know.
it's all cyclical. Stan's got to be out of the equation for things to get better.
Yeah, I don't know. And I question the judgment of the Wirtzes in all of this as well.
Yeah,
I really do.
And they're so worried about taking into account Taze and Kane and Keith. Their contracts are up in three seasons.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
they're
they could just as easily just get out of here, just walk. And you've wasted 3 seasons just doing what? Like
trading water.
Yeah, trading water when you could have used them as some kind of a piece to get, to bring in some draft picks or whatever you're going to do to build up the system instead of just having 1,000 defensemen.
Right. Because that's the other thing is that, they keep telling everybody about, their pipeline. And man, you look at all the stuff they're pushing out about this guy and that guy over in Europe and, Pius Suter and everybody else. And, I mean, is Pius Suter going to be another Dominic Cahoon? Maybe. Okay. But, Dominic Cahoon, in spite of him being memorialized as a Hall of Famer, is not that great of a player. I mean, I'd 10 times rather have Kubalik and, full marks in the Hawks for unearthing Kubalik.
But yeah, that's the other thing. He's not going to – Pius Suter is not going to be Kubalik either.
No, right.
For sure. Don't expect that at all.
But they keep – if you ask the casual fan and if you ask the homer fan who really has no benchmark across the NHL for how good the Hawks are and how good their prospects are, they'll tell you, they're good. There's a great talent pipeline. The Blackhawks have been selling that line of bullshit for 30 years. I remember back around 2001, 2002, when they were selling your buddy Mikhail Yakubov and Pavel Vorobiev and Igor Radulov and Matt Keith and just all the way down, Matt Ellison, all the way down the line. And they're doing the same thing now. They're peddling hope. And the truth is that their talent pipeline is probably bottom half of the league.
John, rebellions are built on hope.
I I like that. I'm gonna use
Yeah, Gin
That's
Urso, baby.
There you go,
Yeah,
Sean.
I got you, Gate.
That was for you, Sean.
it. Is that Game of Thrones?
Rogue
No,
One?
that's Star
Rogue
Wars.
One,
Rogue One.
Jin Urso. Quoting
Nice.
Saw Gerrera.
Nice.
There you go.
There's their Star Wars beat.
So, gents, on that note, we are getting into the home stretch here on this abbreviated Rinkcast, and we got about 10 minutes left. Let's start on our closing thoughts, and then we could do our plugs and say adios.
Yeah.
Closing thoughts on this fiasco of a Wednesday.
Yeah, I don't think. First of all, we can't go the whole podcast without mentioning Jaime Faulkner and
Right. Oh
her
my
job.
gosh.
I mean,
That's what
Thank you.
gets Gate. That's
That's
what
great.
gets lost in all this.
yes, exactly.
They made a woman the head of like business ops, like a great move.
Yeah.
Like she's going to be
Yeah.
great in her job, and she's qualified and everything, and it's lost in all of it.
What
because
you
of
know? What
they
I
did with
think?
Stan
I think
Bowman.
it completely it kind of backfired on them. I think this whole thing was going to happen, and there was going to be a grand announcement that she was brought in, in this position and everything like that, and they were going to kind of sneak Stan in behind it, and have all this positivity, and then it just completely flip flopped.
I know.
Everyone just grabbed the Stan part of it, which we have clearly because we sat here for 45 minutes talking about Stan Bowman, and poor Jaime Faulkner barely gets,
Right. You want it the other way around.
she really deserves. I mean, I don't know the qualifications to be the president of a business operations. We know hockey stuff. I don't really know business operations of an NHL team. So I'm sure she's very qualified for the job, and I have no doubt that she can do the job, but she's new and she's being brought into the
Yeah.
organization and all that. She's not some retread from another position in the organization. You know what I
Right.
mean?
She's got a fantastic background in analytics and data. And I mean, that's the future of pro sports and a lot of businesses in general. And I suspect it's probably a great hire. And certainly from an optics standpoint for this franchise, it's great. But what do? They completely bollocks it up by promoting Stan Bowman on the same day. It's
Yeah.
like
They should have
Stole our
announced
thunder.
Stan Bowman's promotion like next week or 2 weeks or New Year's Day, some other time, because they stole the limelight from Jaime Faulkner.
yeah.
Well, their forethought in a lot of these things is clear that they don't have a lot of it. So they probably fully expected, like I said, that they're going to say Jaime Faulkner, and everyone was, well, this is great, everything's wonderful, and then sneak standing under, in the back, and they just did the complete opposite because they can't see 6 inches in front of their face.
Yeah, they're it's just that you couldn't script it worse. You couldn't, I mean, I don't know. All right. So Sean Goldstein, what do you think, man? What are your
I think,
closing thoughts?
Can I
The
change
law firm here thinks that that this move is just going to keep us in purgatory and neutral, and I don't know. I don't think it doesn't benefit the franchise in any way, shape, or form. I'm hopeful for Gates' conspiracy theory. The Kenny Williams treatment is what I'm going to call it from now on. I'm hopeful that next year that's the case, and then we can really start the rebuild. But they won't be getting my money or much of my adoration after this move.
Well, yeah, and too, on top of this, like, this is just another example, in all the line of evidence that they've basically just written this season off.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. I mean, the 60 game short COVID season starting late, whatever it's going to be, they've pretty much just written it all off. And so why make a big deal now? Why make the change? Why make any big changes right now? Take our time. We could take this whole season to do whatever we want to do, and then work with that afterwards.
The Schaumburg Boomers won't be having viewing parties in their parking lot to watch the Blackhawks get shellacked 6-0. Or I'm sorry, 6-3. Let's go that, because they'll score. They just won't stop
7-2.
anybody.
7-2. I mean, yeah. I lost my train of thought. Sorry. It's just overwhelming.
Because we're old.
It really is. It's really something.
Yeah. Well, that was just my whole thing on that.
Well, folks,
do we have anything we want to say about Danny Witz being made CEO? Do we think that's I think that's a like an honorary position, honestly.
well, I think, it's funny. I thought about that a little bit today too. And I think it definitely means that Rocky Wirtz is out. I think we kind of knew that was coming too. I don't know, I guess if he's the new Rocky Wirtz, which it appears he is, then, I think the model has changed. I think that it's interesting that Faulkner is really more of an analytics person, and will do a lot of probably strategy based upon data. But I get the feeling that she's not the glad-handed promoter that John McDonough was, and that I don't see her coming down the hall in her Blackhawks coaches warm up and trying to tell Collison what to do, like McDonough was rumored to have done more than a few times, and so
it might help. You never know.
Right, right. You never know. But I mean, at this point, it does appear that there is a new structure, and that again, depending on the people you have plugged in, that can be good or bad. Yeah, I think it appears Danny Witz is in charge and he's calling the shots. And I got to say, Danny, if you're listening, and no doubt you're not, but if you were, I would tell you your first move, highly, highly questionable and highly risky, especially if you want to turn this franchise around.
Yeah. Well, I know Danny follows me on Twitter, so.
He used to follow me and then he unfollowed me.
He may have unfollowed me since then.
Clearly some of your comments got to him, guys.
Since I blew up and quit on the fan base.
Maybe it's one of those deals where it's like, keep your enemies close. He's watching you.
Yeah.
He's got 3 burner accounts and they're all following you guys.
I kind of.
And one of them is called
Danny
Witz's burner account.
Manny Wirtz.
Danny Wirtz. Oh God! All right, it's getting late.
Yeah,
guys, this was fun.
My plugs and stuff real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, yeah. So everyone kind of probably already saw. I've been writing about Seattle, and I'm doing a Seattle Rinkcast. So this the Kraken Hostel Seattle Rinkcast. We're just talking Seattle Kraken, and I had my first guest on. So that's going to be fun, and it's something a little new, a little fresh. I wrote a long history about Seattle. And a lot of things that I didn't even know, that this is not the first time that there's been expansion in Seattle. It's actually the 3rd try for the NHL. And I explain how that all happened and a lot of stuff going along with that. So that's a lot of fun. So check that out on the-rink.com under the Seattle part, or you look up my name, you'll see that all there. And I'm going to do the Seattle Rinkcast. So, and John, I'm sure will join, sometimes on the Seattle one, and we'll just let various Rink members pop in if they want when we're doing these things. But trying to build a new fan base out in Seattle, and it started well with episode 1 of the Rinkcast.
It's exciting. We've had some good growth the last few years, and any of you out there would like to get involved with the Rink as a writer, or bringing some other skills to bear. We're always in need of writers and people with a hockey background or just solid points of view in hockey and good communication skills. Give us a shout.
It's a great place to be. I'll give a testimonial. It's a great place to be. Great group, very helpful, very welcoming, and it's fun. It's fun to be a part of it. So definitely.
Right. And also for any of the divisions, like, just if you want to join any of the divisions, it doesn't have to be just Seattle. We have Toronto. We're looking to start up Columbus. We've got obviously Colorado's really hitting it, and the Blackhawks. And we've got all these divisions. So if you want to inquire about that, you can email WRITEFOR WRITEFOR at the-rink.com. Send an email. Send some examples of what you of your writing and or podcasts or whatever. I mean, we're open for all this stuff. You could get guest spots on podcasts and stuff or video. It's all cool stuff. So send it over there. WRITEFOR at the-rink.com. Thanks.
Or staff at therink.com. the-rink.com. That one will get us to, or you can reach out to us or ping us on the Twitters. We're always on there. Up to no good, hijinks and mayhem.
Danny Wirtz burner account.
Manny, Lanny, Sammy.
Danny.
That might be a Twitter handle I create. Danny Wirtz's burner account.
Oh gosh, you guys. All right. I don't really have any plugs beyond our founding sponsors, puckhockey.com, PUCKHCKY. Head on over, get some gifts for Christmas. You don't have to go to the stores. You don't have to get the COVID. Just, click and select and click, all kinds of cool stuff on there. You might even buy some of that Rink gear. Just saying.
Why not throw a Rink shirt in there? They're very
absolutely.
nice shirts.
You got a shopping cart, throw a Rink shirt in there. Throw about 50
quality.
of them in there. We don't make any money off it, as far as you know. And use that discount code for 10% off, THERINK. And they will hook you up. And they'll always throw some stickers and crap in the bag too, probably. So it's really a good deal all the way around. Jeff, you got anything else?
The one thing, at Kraken Crew _ that's the gentleman that I had on. His name is Brandon Seeley. Not to be confused with Nick Sealer. That's who I had on from the Kraken Crew. He started up this like fan crew out there. So go follow him. It's Kraken Crew _. And go out and follow that account as well.
Yeah.
Follow the Kraken Hustle account, which is the other podcast, kind of spreading it out into different accounts. And at the Rink Seattle too as well. Yeah, there you go. John's you gotta say something. Yeah, John's showing off his Seattle hat, which is a really nice looking hat.
It is.
And,
it really is.
I'm gonna send Brandon some Rink stickers and stuff
Nice.
out in Seattle, so he can spread the word out there. So
Yes. And speaking of which, I have to bottle those as well. There you go. For
and,
everybody.
and Aaron actually has some. If you contact Aaron, he has some Rink Colorado ones
Yep.
too. They're round ones.
Yep.
They look like the avatar that we use on the Rink Colorado account.
And Aaron did an interview for his podcast recently.
Yeah.
That was very well received. So check that out
Yeah.
too. My brother from another mother. Check out his podcast.
That's
too.
right. Aaron Goldschmidt, the brother of Sean Goldstein.
Yeah, so we now have 3 Rinkcasts. You have the Blackhawks. We have the Colorado one.
We're losing it, man.
Yeah, I know. I am losing it. The Colorado one and now the Seattle one. And this is what we would like to do with all the divisions. So.
Yeah, and the only thing holding us back is we need more smart, focused people who want to get involved in writing and blogging and vlogging on hockey. And we've got all kinds of opportunities for you. So just give us a shout. This thing's growing, and we got good swag.
Yeah, and we've got a YouTube where we can start uploading videos to YouTube, things like that. So we've got all that stuff that's at our disposal.
Yeah.
All right. Rumor has it we know the technical guy. So
that's right. We do. That's right. So this has been fun. We're glad you've joined us, and we'll be back probably as we get a little closer to the start of the season, or if any more disappointing news crops up. In the meantime, enjoy your holidays, everybody, and we'll see you on the rink.